great deep dark secrets here. What do you think is the reason why Qatar has gotten, for some, is it just Al Jazeera? Is it just because they're not Iran and they're not the Saudis? How have they slipped below the radar for most, for most of our profession? They don't get a lot of coverage for their bad activities.
I think that's a great question. I want to read. I just looked at this because I want to read it word for word. In 2009, a leaked U.S. diplomatic cable. It was leaked a few years later, but it was originally from 2009. This is what it said about Qatar. This is what the U.S. diplomat said. Qatar has adopted a largely passive approach to cooperating with the U.S. against terrorist financing. Qatar's overall level of cooperation with the U.S. is considered the worst in the region. Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, UN 1267 listed Lashkar-e-Taiba that you just mentioned, and other terrorist groups exploit Qatar as a fundraising locale. Although Qatar's security services have the capability to deal with direct threats and occasionally have put that capability to use, they have been hesitant to act against known terrorists out of concern for appearing to be aligned with the U.S. and provoking reprisals. Now, wait a second. We get the provoking...
That's a lot to digest.
It's a lot to digest.
So basically, they're the worst. That's the headline there.
They're the worst is one
They're
part.
the worst, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, wait, what's fascinating is, look, we could segment this up. The part about provoking reprisals, okay, we get it. You don't want to disappear a bunch of Al-Qaeda operatives because you don't want Al-Qaeda to blow up something in Doha because then, of course, your economy tanks. Okay, so you could expel them, fine. But I thought the most interesting thing is also the fact that they don't want to appear to be aligned with the U.S. Right. Wait a sec. This is a country that has a U.S. base. What do you mean appear to be aligned with the U.S.? This isn't some country that we're not really sure about, right? This is ostensibly supposed to be one of America's closest allies. Supposed to be a country that comes to Washington and has a strategic dialogue. Now, look, since that was written, Qatar has made improvements on terror financing. It has made changes. It's also involved in Afghanistan and such and such and such. But the amazing thing is just that when you said, wait, why isn't this out in the media? Why don't we know this? But the thing is, people do know it. The thing is, it should be pretty clear. There's a lot of evidence of this. What's being talked about on these panels is a lot of things that are kind of out in the open. So, I mean, you would think eventually it would sink in. Eventually, someone would say, what do you mean you don't want to appear to be aligned with us? I mean, why is America, considered the kind of pathetic friend that you don't want to know at school? Isn't America supposed to be the powerful one, and it's supposed to be the other way around? And we've heard this again and again, which is that the leverage seems to be the other way around. Yeah. America's considered the country you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.